have for critical thinking this week?
This week I'd like to talk about finding a balance between living for today and saving for tomorrow. And I want to show you that graphically in what I think is a fairly unique chart. So what I'm drawing here is a timeline with a positive balance and a negative balance and a 0 point in the middle. So if we use this as your cash flow and we assume that your cash flow is equal, in other words, you earn as much as you spend, and then we can look at your net worth on the same timeline, except your net worth is over here, positive, negative, and 0. If you earn as much as you spend, your net worth is 0. Right? Does that make sense
Yes.
to you? Okay. So if we save money, if we're spending less than we earn, in the next period we have the same exact scenario, except we save a little bit of it. And that savings goes into our net worth, and our net worth goes up a little bit. That makes sense, right? We're all good with that?
Yep.
Okay, so now because we have savings, we have a little bit in the next period of interest on our savings. So it goes up a little bit. And the next period goes along, and if we save a little bit more, it goes on top. So you can see that if we look at our cash flow, if we save a little bit and we spend less than what we earn, this stored work that we've worked for but not used compounds and moves forward, and in this little bit of savings adds up, and we add to our savings and we grow our net worth, right? So when we grow our net worth enough, we no longer have to work because we have this stored work. Does that make sense?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so that works when you're saving. Let's look at what happens when you're spending too much.
Uh-oh.
So we have the same chart. Time is across the line. We have positive, negative, and 0, and we're going to do cash flow. And we have, the beginning where we're spending as much as we're saving. And then in the next period, we decide we want an iPad.
Oh.
And if we don't have the money for an iPad out of our income, and we don't borrow it or we take it from savings, we have to borrow it. So we have a little bit of extra spending. That little extra spending, of course, impacts our net worth to the first period is no net worth change because it's even. Second period, we spent more than we earned. So our net worth goes negative. All right? Does that make sense?
Yes.
So we have essentially taken our work today and said we don't want to work hard enough to fund our lifestyle, so we're going to work harder in the future to make this up, right? So the spending and borrowing is basically future work that you're going to have to do that you don't get to spend. So we continue our little lifestyle example here, and we borrow a little bit more next month, plus we borrow a little bit more for the interest. So the next month, our net worth.
I think I see the problem here.
Our net worth goes up by we borrow a little bit more because we're living a little bit beyond our means, and of course we have to pay a little interest on that. So your net worth is falling. Over time, the interest can become such a big part of your net worth that they won't loan you money anymore.
Well, I think the interest isn't so little.
It can add up. Obviously, the interest on our national debt is billions and billions and billions of dollars, so it can add up very quickly. Actually, I don't know the exact number, but it's like 20 cents on the dollar of your taxes goes to interest. I don't know the exact number. It's
And
at
increasing.
least 20 cents on the dollar. Yeah. So if you think about this, what you have to do to offset this when they won't lend you any more money, if your income and expenses are here and they won't lend you any more money for your lifestyle, well, you obviously have to still pay your interest. So now, while you're working and earning this much income, your lifestyle is now less than what you make. So if you think of this as stored work, you only earn this much, you only work this much, you can't live as much as you earn eventually. So the key here is that if you're going to live large now, you're going to live less later.
You're going to be living on peanut butter and jelly later and top
yeah.
ramen.
Yeah, so if you think of money as stored work, the key here is if you borrow money now, that's work you're going to have to do in the future that you can't you can't enjoy the fruits of your labor. You're going to have to work harder in the future. So when you look about finding a balance of today versus tomorrow, remember when you're borrowing money, in the future you're going to have to be working, yet not spending or having any fun. So you've got to kind of balance those two. It's not easy for anyone, but if you look at it in terms of stored work, ask yourself how much you want to work in the future to enjoy your lifestyle today, and try to stay fairly close to cash flow neutral.
Plan ahead.
Absolutely.